Hello everyone. Welcome back to this channel. Today, we'll be discussing the changes that happened to Sparxie's kit in beta version 3. And of course, this information comes from a credible source, Hakushin. Alright, let's not waste any time and get right into it. Okay, Sparxie v3 has been released, and there are several changes to Sparxie's kit in this beta v3, specifically to her skill, traces, and eidolons. With that said, let's start breaking everything down. But first, let's discuss the light cone Sparxie. In beta v3, this LC increases crit damage higher than before, from 36% to 48%. The skill point limit effect and def ignore remain the same, but the difference lies in the elation bonus. Previously, each skill point consumed directly provided an additional 5% elation to all allies and could be stacked up to 20%. Now, the 20% elation bonus is only active if 4 or more skill points are used in one turn. Okay, now we'll move on to Sparxie's main kit. But before that, running out of Stellar Jade and honkaistarrail? Don't worry, there's a more budget-friendly solution. Now you can top up in-game safely, quickly, and at a lower price through U7 Buy. And it's not just honkaistarrail, other games are available too, all in one place. Still not sure? No problem. You can check U7 Buy's reviews directly on Trustpilot, so it's transparent and trustworthy. For comparison, 80 oniric shards cost around $100 in the official store, but on U7 Buy, it's much cheaper. The process is also instant. Just select your server, enter your UID, and the balance is delivered straight to your account, no hassle. Don't forget to use code BOOM for a 5% discount. And if you spend $80 per month on U7 Buy, you can even get the Express Supply Pass for just 1 cent. Yeah, it's basically free. Click the link in my description or pinned comment to visit U7 Buy. Okay, the first change is to the enhanced Sparxie skill. In the previous version, this enhanced skill provided a fairly high damage bonus, 40% to the main target and 20% to adjacent targets. In beta v3, these values are significantly reduced to 20% to the main target and 10% to adjacent targets. In other words, the entire damage multiplier of the enhanced skill has been cut in half compared to the previous version. Next, we move on to the talent, which is actually one of the parts that received a significant buff. In beta v3, Sparxie's talent mechanics remain largely the same, but the damage values have been increased quite substantially. The damage from enhanced basic attack is now increased to 40% to the main target, up from the previous 20%, and 20% to adjacent targets, up from 10%. In addition, the extra damage from the engagement farming effect has been increased to 20% per instance, compared to around 18% previously. These changes indirectly shift Sparxie's power focus from her enhanced skill to her talent. Another important change occurs to the elation skill, which has been simplified mechanically while also becoming more consistent. In the older version, the elation skill dealt 50% fire elation damage to all enemies, followed by 20 additional hits with a 22% multiplier to random targets. This mechanic heavily depended on the punchline and thrill system, where every 10 punchlines would generate 1 thrill, up to a maximum of 4. In beta v3, the elation skill still retains the initial 50% damage, but the 20 additional hits are now increased to 25% per hit. Furthermore, using the elation skill now guarantees 2 thrill, regardless of punchline count. While it was previously possible to gain up to 4 thrill, the results were inconsistent. With this change, Sparxie's elation skill becomes far more stable and reliable. Next, we move on to the traces. The first trace receives a buff. Previously, every 100 attack above 2000 increased elation damage by 4%, with a maximum cap of 80%. In beta v3, this value is increased to 5% per 100 attack, meaning Sparxie now only needs around 3,600 attack to reach the maximum bonus, compared to 4,000 attack previously. This makes Sparxie's build more flexible and friendlier for players with lower relic investment. The second trace is also strengthened. Previously, this trace granted 4% crit damage to the entire team for every one punchline, up to a maximum of 40%. In Beta V3, this is increased to 6% crit damage per punchline, with a new cap of 60%. This change significantly boosts Sparxie's contribution as a team damage support and makes punchline a much more valuable resource than before. The third trace receives an important new effect. In Beta V3, in addition to granting the same amount of punchlines, Sparxie now also gains extra thrill, 1 thrill if there are 1 to 2 elation characters, 4 thrill if there are 3 elation characters in the team. This addition further strengthens Sparxie's synergy in mono-elation team compositions. Finally, we look at Eidolon 6, which also receives a notable change. Previously, E6 granted 20% all-type respen and added extra bounces to the elation skill based on punchline count, with a maximum of 30 bounces. In Beta V3, this maximum is increased to 40 instances. In practice, this significantly boosts the damage potential of the elation skill under high punchline conditions. Overall, Sparxie's changes in Beta V3 show that she received a considerable number of buffs. Although her enhanced skill was heavily nerfed, this was compensated by strong buffs to her talent, traces, thrill consistency, and Eidolon scaling. Alright, that's all for now, everyone. So what do you think about Sparxie's changes in Beta V3? Feel free to share your thoughts, opinions, and speculations in the comments. Don't forget to share this information with your friends who also play Honkai Star Rail. And make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any important updates. See you in the next update.